Leave immediately or face the fines. That's how it all started. The first words I heard in my new driveway, sweat stinging my eyes, dragging boxes across the hot concrete. And here comes a woman in a blazer binder out front like she's reading me my rights. I mean, imagine moving into the house you just bought finally after months of paperwork and getting told to leave before you've even put down the doormat. Not a conversation. A straight-up threat. You ever been blindsided like that day one because my jaw was on the floor? She didn't even introduce herself, just shoved a fat folder at my chest like I'd signed up for a timeshare or joined some cult I'd never heard of. The more she talked, the more I realized she wasn't just off, she was on a mission. Looking back, maybe the universe was warning me. Moving day was supposed to be easy, pack, drive, unload pizza. That's the dream, right? But let me tell you, Maple Ridge had other plans for me. See, the curveball in this story is a lady named Paula Hargrove, president of the HOA Defender of Shrub Symmetry, and apparently the self-appointed gatekeeper of everything from mailbox placement to the color of your curtains. I was balancing a box labeled Kitchen Fragile when she appeared right in my garage like a boss fight in some suburban video game. Didn't walk up the driveway, didn't ring the bell, just materialized. She had that look, eyebrows drawn, lips pressed together like she'd been waiting all week to catch someone in the act. "Excuse me, are you the new resident?" Except it wasn't a question. Not really. It was more like an accusation with a smile stuck on. I told her, "Yeah, I'm Evan Carter." She didn't budge, just blocked my way. "We need to discuss your compliance status immediately." She thrust this paper at me so fast I dropped the box, heard my cast iron pan clatter on the floor, and honest to God, she looked at me like I'd just set the house on fire. "That's exactly what I'm talking about," she said. "Noise violations, disruptive moving practices. If you ever want to know how fast a moving day can go off the rails, try unpacking with a stranger reading rules at you." She held up a massive blue binder, swear the thing was heavier than a family Bible. "Welcome. This is your compliance binder. You have 30 days to review and sign, or you'll face daily fines starting at $50. I flipped through pages and pages about grass height, mailbox angles, even acceptable shades of beige. She beamed like I'd complimented her life's work. I joked, "This is thicker than a bridge manual," but she just nodded, proud as a peacock. "Every successful neighborhood requires structure," she said. I asked her where in my deed it said anything about daily fines, and she just blinked. "Your deed is irrelevant. Property ownership comes with community responsibilities. We've had issues before, and I won't have this place deteriorate on my watch." The way she said issues, you'd think I was single-handedly destroying civilization. Now, I'm no legal eagle, but I'd done my homework. I pulled out my phone and showed her a property boundary app, red lines marking exactly what I owned, and it didn't match the lines Paula seemed to think she ruled. Still, she started rattling off infractions. Failure to pre-register your move, improper storage, noise disturbances. Each one came with escalating penalties, and she pointed right at my garage like she'd caught me hiding classified documents. "Daily fines start Monday, $50, doubling every week." You'd think she was talking about a felony. I looked at her and said, "Maybe we should check if your rules actually apply to my property before you start writing tickets." Her face went redder than a stop sign. "Every property in this development falls under HOA jurisdiction," she snapped. "That's how planned communities work." I held up the pan in one hand, the binder in the other, and honestly, one felt a lot more useful than the other. "We'll see about that," I told her. Paula clutched her folder to her chest, all armor and authority. "Community standards exist for a reason. Property values neighborhood character, they matter." That's when I realized this wasn't about the grass or mailbox. It was about control. The little red laser pointer on my workbench caught the light and danced on the wall, made me wonder if I was the cat or the mouse. "Do you understand property law, Paula?" I asked. Her eyes flicked to the laser dot, and for a split second the mask slipped. She covered fast, promising to monitor my compliance very closely. Then she turned on her heel, stormed down the driveway, talking to some woman across the street already spinning her version of events. Welcome to the neighborhood, right? Later that week, I set up my defense station in the Garage County plat map, pinned up boundary app open, laser pointer ready, street chalk handy. Paula came back, but this time she brought back up a volunteer team with matching name tags, clipboards, and all the attitude of a junior FBI squad. They slapped a bright yellow sticker on my trash bin compliance standards reminder. Paula announced to Mrs. Peterson next door, "We're documenting concerns about the non-compliant newcomer." Mrs. Peterson looked nervous, but Paula was already writing notes. I stepped out, phone in hand. "Morning, everyone. Looks like you're all interested in boundaries today." Perfect timing. Paula tried to shoo me off, but I held up a petition sheet I'd found in her binder, petition to remove non-compliant resident. Neighbors started murmuring, snapping photos. "She drafted this before I even moved in," Mrs. Peterson whispered. I spread the petition out on my toolbox. Signatures looked fake handwriting all the same. "This is less about standards," I said, "and more about inventing authority out of thin air." The crowd grew, people checked out. The county map traced boundary lines. Mr. Peterson was the first to say it. "You're not actually in the HOA at all." The air changed. Paula tried to shout over the evidence, but Lena Brooks, next-door lawyer by day, stepped up, studied the plat map, and said, "Paula, I think we might have a problem here." Now, if you've never seen a neighborhood coup, let me tell you, it's something. Paula's face cycled through anger, confusion, and something that looked a lot like panic. "Authority is established through community consensus," she blurted, but one of her volunteers muttered, "I think county records are pretty definitive." Mrs. Peterson and her husband started talking about 15 years of dues they might not have owed. Volunteer team dissolved. I pointed to the sidewalk where someone had painted "loading only" in crooked letters. "Who authorized that?" I asked. Paula mumbled about city approval, but Lena was already examining the brushwork. Looked more like DIY than anything official. People started downloading the same property app I had. Unity Survey had turned into a property rights workshop, and Paula was losing control fast. Her last card was trash day, except my bin got skipped by the garbage truck. Everyone else's was emptied. Mine overflowing bags dancing down the street on a breeze, coffee grounds everywhere. Lena recorded the whole thing, narrating every bin except Carter's. HOA interference on full display. I called the trash company, got the manager, Derek Flynn, on the phone. He said we had to modify the route based on HOA compliance issues. I asked for documentation. Turns out Paula had sent a list of addresses, half of which weren't in the HOA at all. Derek was just going along to get along. I started a folder HOA overreach. The next day, municipal workers rolled up with a cluster mailbox unit. Paula's car idled down the street like she was waiting for a heist to go down. The workers handed me an order. "You'll need to remove your individual box and use the cluster system." The order referenced a petition filed 2 weeks earlier before I'd even moved in. Smelled fishier than the lake on a hot day. As they struggled to fit my old mailbox into the cluster, didn't fit. Hardware was wrong, I remembered. Mailboxes are federal territory, not HOA playgrounds. I called the postmaster. He showed up in full uniform, walked right past Paula, and slapped a violation notice on her clipboard. "Unauthorized modification of mail systems is a federal offense," he announced. Crowd gasped. Someone even clapped. Paula shrank like a balloon, losing air. The postmaster restored my mailbox, put a federal sticker on it, felt like armor. That night, I saw a truck picking up the mailbox cluster equipment Derek Flynn cleaning up after the federal intervention. Lena brought coffee the next morning. Paula's going door to door telling everyone your non-compliance will tank property values. But Mrs. Peterson had done her homework. Turns out non-HOA homes actually appreciate faster. Less fees, more freedom, fewer headaches. I called 3 real estate agents. Every single one said the same thing buyers want out of HOA neighborhoods. Paula tried to spin her own data, waving clipboards, making speeches in the street. The neighbors listened to the professionals instead. When Paula started posting misleading photos of my property in a private group, Lena tracked the fake accounts right back to Paula's Google Drive. Evidence on the garage wall boundary map on one side, sock puppet usernames on the other. Paula called an emergency meeting, wanted a petition to enforce community standards. She passed the clipboard, but this time neighbors read every word. Mrs. Peterson asked, "What authority does this actually grant Lena Prest about trespassing for those photos?" The crowd went quiet. Everyone realized this had gone way past a simple disagreement. The city sent out an official survey crew, staked the boundaries in bright orange, laminated a plaque, "Boundary verified," outside HOA area. The whole block came out, phones up, cheering. Paula stood back, hugging her clipboard, color drained from her face. Each stake wasn't just a boundary, it was a nail in the coffin of her fake authority. That night, the HOA board held an emergency meeting. Paula was out. Fined for trespassing, postal violations, unauthorized signs. Derek Flynn lost the trash contract. The neighborhood breathed easier. Mrs. Peterson brought over cookies, apologized for not speaking up sooner. "Property law exists for a reason," she said. Paula's last act was a quiet one. Loading boxes. She stopped at the property line, glanced at the municipal sign, and almost whispered, "Boundaries do matter." The orange paint faded, but that metal sign still glows in the sunset, a reminder that in the end the truth comes down to a hammer, a map, and the law that was always on my side. Maybe you don't have to yell louder than a bully, just document better. So have you ever tangled with a nightmare HOA? What did you do, fight, flee, or outsmart? Drop a comment, hit like, and share your wildest stories. Protect your space, protect your boundaries, and remember the law is still the law, no matter how many binders they throw at you.